chapter, verse 52, right before the beginning of Malachim Bet.
Got it. Ahaziah, son of Ahab, became king over Israel in Shamon in the 17th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, and he reigned over Israel for 2 years.
Right.
Is there something wrong?
No, just so Ahaziah takes over for Ahab, who died because he was hit by an arrow in the war against Aram, Moab. Jehoshaphat is the king of Malchut Yehuda at the same time, and so generally, because we count in the years of kings, pay attention to this come Purim, because in Purim Ahashverosh thought the Beit HaMikdash wouldn't be built because they counted in years of kings, but he missed some of the change. So if a king ruled for 9 months, it was in his first year, but after the 10th month when someone else took over, it was his first year and it wasn't an entire year. So we were promised it would be 70 years of Galut. He counted 70, but he counted wrong. He counted short years. So we're counting in the years of Yehoshaphat, who's Melech Yehuda, only because he's the more stable king at this time, and there's a transition. So we're counting for him from we're counting for Ahaziah in years of Yehoshaphat, so to speak.
What's verse are we? Number?
Malachim Aleph, Perek Kaf Bet, Pasuk Nun Gimel. 53 now, yeah. Just because it's technically in the middle of a paragraph. Yeah.
So he did what was evil in the eyes of Hashem.
Well, that's a surprise.
And we read that pasuk
Yeah.
20 times.
Yeah. It surprises me every time I read it that I've had a son who was crazy. I know, Qalbi. We're just reviewing 3 psukim back in order to make...
So he did what was evil in the eyes of Hashem, and he went in the way of his father and in the way of his mother, in the way of Yeroboam, son of Nebat, who caused Israel to sin. He worshipped the Baal and prostrated himself to it, and he angered Hashem, the God of Israel, like all that his father had done.
Oh, it's an impressive resume.
What is top 9?
Right.
Try to
Like father, like son. Yeah.
Moab rebelled against Israel after Ahab's death.
So apparently they were afraid of him. And after he passed away, they figured this was an opportunity.
To it still.
Militarily,
he brought security to the nation.
I have to say, this is the same thing I always say about libertarian candidates. They have the best ideas and the worst candidates. Ahab was a good politician. He was a good general. In other words, he knew how to wage war. He knew how to manage and control people. He was a psychopath, but at least he had good people skills, you know? Yeah. Good people skills, they come in handy. Malchei Yehuda, on the whole, they were righteous, you know, most of them were tzaddikim. Competent, more competent, less competent, but they're not dynamic, they're not maybe they're missing charisma, I don't know how to put it. Malchei Israel, they're crazy, but they have a little bit of character to them, and people are drawn to them. So Ahab has this, Aram threatened them, they were much more powerful. He goes out, he fights against them, and now Moab is afraid of him, and after he dies, all of a sudden, here's an opportunity, why don't we take advantage of it?
Ahaziah fell through the balustrade of his upper chamber in Shalom and took ill. Took ill means he died?
No, took ill means he became sick, he was injured.
Okay. He sent messengers saying to them, go inquire Baal Zebub, being the next page, the god of Ekron, whether I will recover from this illness. Is there a city called Ekron?
Ekron is the name of a nation. Yeah. There was a people that lived there. Baal Zebub sound familiar to anybody?
Yeah, Baal Zebub.
Is it in Italian?
Yeah, Baal Zebub. We have that in French.
Signor delle Mosche, the Lord of Flies.
Okay, so by definition, the Lord of the Flies. No, there's a reference to it. There's a very famous reference to it in Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I'm thinking
in English, Beelzebub has a devil for a son.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the line.
I remember that.
I told you that English has a lot of very classic biblical references in it.
This one is in French at least as well.
Was that? And it's used. People refer to it.
to refer to the devil.
Yeah, Beelzebub. So Beelzebub has a devil for a son. That's what the great Freddie Mercury was saying in his Zoroastrian ways.
Yeah.
But
At
any rate,
we're taking any spiritual advice from him.
no. But as a cultural referent, it's interesting that it exists. So yeah, Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies. Is it that we pray, or that they prayed to the power that they believe controlled the flies, the ability to control flies? Not perfectly clear what they were doing. It's clear that it was Avodah Zarah, and they prostrated themselves before it. So, it for whatever reason, again, I have to say, and I refer back to what I said just a few minutes ago, something about Avodah Zarah has this charisma or this draw to it that we always have difficulty. Torah is a tougher sell. I don't know why, and I couldn't tell you why, but in that generation, what Quran with everyone was, if it wasn't the Baal in the time of Ahab, it's Baal Zebub specifically here. So, one way or the other, these are the phony prophets that he's consulting with to know whether he's going to survive or not. So clearly he's very steeped in Avodah Zarah, not that he's worshipping it pro forma just because the people expect him to. He actually believes that the prophets would be able to tell him what's going on.
An angel of Hashem then said to Eliyahu Tishbi, arise and go up towards the messengers of the king of Shimon and speak to them. Is there no God in Israel that you go to inquire of Baal Zebub, the God of Ekron? Therefore, thus said Hashem of Haziel, the bed onto which you have climbed, you shall never go down from it, and you shall surely die. Eliyahu then set off. The messengers returned to Achashverosh, and he asked them, why have you returned? They answered him, a man came up toward us and
so
said
they went looking for idolatrous prophets, and Eliyahu intercepted them and told them, here, I'll give you the answer you're looking for.
go and return to the king who sent you, and speak to him. Thus said Hashem, is there no God in Israel that you sent to inquire about the Buddha of Ekron? Therefore, the bed unto which you have climbed, you shall never go down from it, and you shall surely die.
I'm going to point out the obvious. Every single word that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Eliyahu to say is the same. And if it looks to you like it's repetitious, Eliyahu is so, let's call him strictly observant, that every time he has a nevuah, you'll see the exact same words are quoted. What Hashem tells him is what he tells them.
I was going to ask you, why do we have to repeat it and just not say, and
well,
Eliyahu said that?
If for nothing else, because we had examples before, remember, Eido, Navi?
Yeah.
Not every prophet,
They made that mistake.
quotes 100% accurately. So Eliyahu, exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him is exactly what he tells them. He doesn't add a single word, he doesn't detract a single word from it.
He asked them, what is the appearance of the man who came up towards you and spoke these words to you? They said to him, he was a hairy man with a leather belt girded on his waist. Ahaziah said, he is Eliyahu Hatishvi.
Okay, what do you understand from this, by the way?
And he was a Nazir.
Right. No, yeah, apparently he had long hair, anyhow. And there's a discussion about, the Gemara does seem to lean in the direction of him being a Nazir. If he needed to be any more exceptional or different than he already was, that's quite potentially it.
What about the belt?
Hang on a second. How
Because the
come
hairy man, okay, the belt. Maybe one day he has a belt, the other day he doesn't have a belt.
a belt of leather? I don't know. Apparently, it's just how they describe to people. I couldn't tell you.
I have a leather belt today, maybe tomorrow not. Depends what I'm wearing. I don't know.
Well, I can find it if the kids aren't playing with it. That's what I put on. But yeah. So you understand that no one knows what Eliyahu looks like, right? In other words, if they have to describe the greatest prophet alive in that generation, they've never seen him before. He asked them, who is this guy? Someone intercepted, you went to Baal Zebub and all of a sudden you come back with a message from somebody else. Describe the guy to me. So apparently he saw him, or at least he knew what he looked like, or what he was reputed to look like. And these messengers of his have no idea who they're talking about. So Eliyahu was not very... let's say he probably didn't take out membership in the local Beth Knesset. I mean, I'm sure he prayed. I'm sure he read Shema. I'm sure he did everything that one's expected and supposed to do. It's just that he probably had very little interaction with people. I'm just putting that out there because if these people worked for the king and he was Ahab's number one enemy in a way because he prophesied against him. And everyone knows that when you go to Eliyahu, all you get is the truth. And usually, if you have a standoff or a challenge with him, you come out of it looking really, really bad. And people will see him once every 5 or 10 years. I guess he just does his thing in private. Okay, so he has a suspicion it's Eliyahu.
So Achaziahu dispatched to him a captain of 50, along with his 50 men. He came up to Eliyahu, and he was sitting.
Just read the next paragraph.
Okay. When he was sitting at the top of a mountain, he said to him, "Man of God, the king has spoken, come down." Eliyahu responded and spoke to the captain of the 50. "I am a man of God. Let a fire descend from heaven and consume you and your 50 men." A fire then descended from heaven and consumed him and his 50 men. I understand that.
But you see, even when the pasuk describes what Eliyahu predicted, it's the exact same words. I'm a man of God. I don't have time for this. Fire's going to come down now and consume you and all your 50 men. And just like he says, when he makes a decree, the decree happens word for word. It's exactly what Eliyahu says what's going to happen. You're going to see the same thing by Elisha, by the way.
Does it happen because Eliyahu decided that it would happen, or because Eliyahu knows that Hashem already wanted to do that?
That's a very good question. If Hashem wanted to do it, he could have done it without Eliyahu.
Yes, but he wanted to do it to protect Eliyahu.
Yes and no. In other words,
it's a mix of both.
There's a little bit of discretion in these types of things. Elisha is going to do something similar in another 2 or 3 chapters.
Who gives some miraculous power to?
You have the power. You have the power. Whether or not you use it, how you use it, to what ends, and what types of situations is what you're judged on. Okay. By the way, did anybody threaten Eliyahu? Did they say the king said, "Come, or we're going to kill you, or we're going to"? They just told him the king wants to see you. That's all. Come down from the mountain. He wants to talk to you. I'm a man of God. You're wasting my time. I'm going to burn you all alive, and you'll see. Don't do it again. Okay, but just like he says, word for word, just like he copies what HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him to transmit to Ahav or to Achaziah, what he decrees himself is exactly what the pasuk describes. That's what happened. Oh, and incidentally, just one more connection, because you have to know how to make these things. It seems like Eliyahu has a kind of intimate relationship with fire. I don't know. Remember how
same thing happened in
right, Har Carmel, where the truth and his role as a man of God is kind of proven through fire. I'm just putting that out there because not many Nevi'im do this. So he has this relationship or a connection with fire. Zohar Kadosh describes the whole concept of zeal, how he was very zealous and very fiery, kind of like Pinchas. In other words, it's if you had to choose some kind of natural force to describe Eliyahu, fire wouldn't be a bad choice.
Achaziah repeated and sent another captain of 50, along with his 50 men, to him. He spoke up
because if at first you don't succeed, try again.
The definition of madness is trying the same thing and expecting different results.
That's not the first time.
Men of God, thus said the king, come down quickly. And Eliyahu responded and spoke to them. If I am a man of God, let fire descend from heaven and consume you and your 50 men. The fire of God then descended from heaven and consumed him and his 50 men. Achaziah repeated and said, the third captain, along with his 50 men, the third captain of 50 went up, arrived, and fell on his knees in front of Eliyahu, and entered. So
imagine being this third guy, right? The flaming carcasses of the first 100 are still there, right? Like the fire hasn't been extinguished, and you're asked to walk between them.
Men of God, please let my soul and the souls of these 50 servants of yours be worthy in your eyes. Please, they're trying a different approach. Behold,
and he acknowledges that he's a man of God. In other words, this apparently is someone who maybe it could be the smell of the burning people, but maybe he realizes that Baal Zevuv doesn't have anything on Eliyahu, and that at least temporarily he does teshuvah.
Behold, a fire has descended from heaven and consumed the first 2 captains of 50, along with their groups of 50. But now, may my soul be worthy in your eyes. An angel of Hashem then said to Eliyahu, go down with him, do not fear him. So he arose and went down with him to the king. Eliyahu said to Ahaziah, Thus said Hashem.
By the way, Eliyahu was afraid of the first two.
No? No.
You control fire.
Doesn't seem like he's afraid.
Like the gift of fire is in your hand. You can kill anyone you want. So you're concerned, you're afraid for these people. I mean, interesting. I don't know. I'm not saying I have an answer. I'm just saying that's a very interesting thing. The malach has to tell him, don't be afraid. It's if to say, what? He burned them too fast the first time. So.
Thus said Hashem, because you sent messengers to inquire of Baal Zebul, the god of Ekron. Is there no God in Israel whose words to inquire? Therefore, the bed onto which you have climbed, you should never go down from it, you shall surely die.
Abigail, if he has to repeat it a second time, is he going to change a word one way or the other? Is he going to add or detract not even a syllable? Not even a syllable. Exactly what he said, he'll repeat it another 100 times if he has to. That's what makes him Eliyahu. Okay.
I assume Sephardi in the Hebrew version, everything is exactly
Everything is identical.
Ahaziah died in accordance with the word of Hashem, and Eliyahu had spoken. His brother, Yerovam, Yehoram, what is it in Hebrew?
Yehoram.
Yehoram,
yeah. Ram in Hebrew is high.
Okay.
So Yehoram, the first three letters are the first letters of the name of Hashem. So Yehoshaphat, Yehoyada, that's not an uncommon prefix, if you will, for a Hebraic name. Yehoshua.
Yehoram reigned in his place in the second year of Yehoram, son of Yehoshaphat, king of Yehuda. For Ahaziah had no son. So, if I understand correctly, the king of Yehuda was ruling over Malchut Israel, or did I just miss something?
In the second year of Yehoram, son of Yehoshaphat, Melech Yehuda. Sorry, so the pasuk is actually split in between two paragraphs. So he died, and Yehoram ruled under him. Yes, Yehoram ben Yehoshaphat, Melech Yehuda, because the Ahaziah had no children.
So then the ruler of Malchut Israel was from the descendant of
Happened
Yehuda.
to be, right, in this case, I don't know, it could be that they had a machloket. He didn't have a son himself. Maybe they realized that unless this was a direct descendant of David Melech, he would be somewhat illegitimate, or at least they don't have a Navi who told them otherwise, as they did in the case of Yerovam ben Nevat. So this is Yehoram, the son of Yehoshaphat, who we said that Ahaziah started ruling in the 17th year of Yehoshaphat, and now it's his son is ruling over Malchut Israel.
If he had a daughter, would a woman be allowed to
Don't know.
be the number?
I don't know if it came up. I can't think of one case in which there was a king who didn't have a male successor somehow. And these weren't necessarily all from the same line. Don't forget that Yerovam was cut off and Ahav was cut off. Yeah, I can't think of a situation in which it came up.
The rest of Ahaziah's deeds that he did, behold, they are recorded in the books of Chronicles of the king of Israel.
Well, as fascinating as Perek Bet, I suggest we press on.
You want to keep going, or you want to do a
Yeah, let's see if we can grab Perek Bet. We can. Any volunteers for Perek Bet?
Yeah.
Good.
It happened when Hashem took Eliyahu up to heaven in a whirlwind. Eliyahu went with Elisha from Gilgal. Eliyahu said to Elisha, "Please stay here, for Hashem has sent me to Bethel." But Elisha said, "I swear as Hashem lives and by your life that I shall not leave you." So they went down to Bethel. The prophet's disciples who had been in Bethel came out to Elisha and said to him, "Did you know that today Hashem is taking your master from upon your head?" He said, "I know also, be silent." Eliyahu then said,
Eliyahu didn't tell him where they were going or why. He told him there's a few people he wants to visit or some places he wants to go to before whatever happens. And so the Elisha, who's a Navi, goes to the Talmidim of the Naviim who are clearly on a lower level than him, And even they know that Eliyahu was about to pass away. Like this was a message that you didn't need to be on a very high level of nevuah to have received it.
Eliyahu then said to him, Elisha, please stay here, for Hashem has sent me to Jericho. But he said, I swear as Hashem lives and by your life that I shall not leave you. So they came to Jericho. The prophet disciple who had been in Jericho approached Elisha and said to him, do you know that today Hashem is taking your master from upon your head? He said, I know also, be silent. Eliyahu then said to him, please stay here, for Hashem has sent me to the Jordan. He said, I swear that Hashem lives.
Okay, from Yericho to the Jordan is Yericho is on the Jordan River.
This is saying Yericho now?
Yeah. Archaeologically, it's at the very northern tip of Yam Melach, so we know where that is.
I swear as Hashem lives and by your life that I shall not leave you. So they both went. 50 men of the prophet's disciples went, standing opposite them at a distance, and the two of them stood at the Jordan. Eliyahu took his mantle and struck the water, which split apart this way and that, and they both crossed over on dry land. As they were crossing, Eliyahu said to Elisha, request what I should do for you before I am taken away from you. Elisha said, may twice as much as spirit be mine. Eliyahu said, you have made difficult requests. If you see me taken from you, it shall be so for you. But if you do not, then it will not happen.
In other words, if you have the zechut of being there when I pass away, it's a sign that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to grant your request. If you're not allowed to be there for whatever reason, or if I die when you're not present, you should know that your request was not answered.
And they were walking and conversing. Behold, a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared and separated between the two of them. Eliyahu ascended to heaven in the whirlwind. Elisha was watching and shouting, Father, Father, is there a chariot and horsemen? And then he saw him no more. He took hold of his garment and rent them to pieces. He picked up Eliyahu's mantle, which had fallen from him, and he returned and stood at the bank of the Jordan. He took Eliyahu's mantle, which had fallen from him, and struck the water, and said, where is Hashem, the God of Eliyahu? He too struck the water, and it split apart this way and that, and Elisha crossed over.
Okay, so a miracle that Eliyahu happened to pull off just a short while ago, Elisha is now capable of doing. This happened once before with Yoshua, when the nation crossed the Jordan River. So apparently the Jordan River was a big deal back in the day. Today it's like a tiny little stream, but it used to be a more powerful river. So at the time of Yoshua it stopped. And the Gemara tells us later of Tanaim they were able to do this too. So it's not Yam Suf, but still the ability to stop water from flowing or to reverse its course. Pretty impressive. In case you thought he only controls fire.
What's a mantle? Staff?
A mantle
Yeah.
is a robe.
The prophet disciple who were from Jericho saw him from a distance and said, the spirit of Eliyahu has rested upon Elisha. They came towards him and prostrated themselves before him. They said to him, behold, among your servants there are 50 able-bodied men. Let them go and search for your master. Perhaps the spirit of Hashem has carried him off and hurled him into one of the mountains or one of the valleys. But Elisha said, do not send them.
Right. You remember how Eliyahu used to appear and disappear in different places?
Yeah.
Just happens. So they said maybe this time Hashem took him somewhere else. He had some kind of a mission to fulfill. And Elisha said, no, this time it's for real. Like he's gone and he's not coming back. It's not so.
They badgered him until he was embarrassing to refuse, so he said, send them. They sent 50 men who searched for 3 days but could not find him. They returned to him. He was staying in Jericho, and he said to them, did I not say to you, do not go? The people of the city told Elisha, behold, living in this city is pleasant, as my master can see, but the water is bad, making the land deadly. He said, get me a new jar and put salt in it. And they brought it to him. He went out to the source of the water and threw salt there. And he said, "Thus says Hashem, I have cured this water. There shall no longer be from it death and bereavement." So the water became cured until this day, like the word of Elisha that he had spoken.
Okay, we had something kind of similar, an analog to this about Moshe. This is last week's parasha. Right? People complained that there was water to drink, but the water was bitter. They call it mara. He took a tree. Does that tell us that it was an olive tree? In fact, it was an exceptionally bitter wood that he threw into it, and the water was sweetened.
He went up from there to Bethel. But in his,
Bethel is Yerushalayim.
yeah, in the previous paragraph, what he does is, so he asked them first, get me a new jar and put salt in it. They do that, and then he went out to the source of the water and threw salt there.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like he's testing it. He's trying. Let me try on this jar, and then if it works, I try on the source of the water.
I think it was more like the salt is analogous to the wood that Moshe throws into the water, meaning he takes something, some kind of matter,
Right.
and with it he cures the problem of the water.
But what has to do that first in the jar? It's almost like he does.
He's asking for a container of salt. That's all.
No, because it looks like. Oh, get me a new jar. So it's not a jar of water, just a jar for the salt.
From what I understood, it was just a dry salt.
Yeah, okay. He went up from there. He went up from there to Bethel, and as he was going up on the road, some young lads came out from the city and mocked him, saying to him, "Go on up, bald head. Go on, bald head." He turned around and saw
They
them.
made fun of him because he was bald. Eliyahu had long hair, and Elisha apparently had very little.
He turned around and saw them and cursed them in the name of Hashem. 2 bears then came out of the forest and tore apart 42 of the lads.
Who's laughing now?
He went from there to Mount Carmel.
Is my bald head still funny?
He went from there to Mount Carmel, and from there he returned to Samaria.
Okay, Hadar actually said he was punished for doing that, but
I was gonna ask, like, if someone bothers me or mocks me, I'm not gonna have them killed by bears or by any other way.
right. Well, you say that now.
Sorry?
You say that now before you're able to control the bears.
Yeah.
Unclear. I have to say that you'll see something interesting by Elisha and by Eliyahu that there's a certain degree of discretion that comes along with these powers. In other words, what you asked before. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted these people dead, he would have killed them himself. It's not to say that they deserve to live. It's just that he gives Eliyahu the power to decide. Eliyahu was never approached for killing them.
But Elisha,
You would ask yourself the same thing. Here's an officer and 50 soldiers. Together it's 102 people. You teach them some Torah, teach them Musar. Maybe you can be the Mahzir B'Tshuva of this
and
generation.
he didn't even mock it.
No. Interestingly enough, Eliyahu doesn't do much of... I mean, it's hard to say. It seems from the Ketuvim anyway that he doesn't do much Ba'oiv Kiru. He's more about putting an end to heresy and idolatry than he is... how should I put this? So he's not like the typical educator. Let's say it that way. People don't know what he looks like. He's not a fixture in the community or in the society. Maybe that's why we don't have a Sefer Eliyahu. Maybe just because the overwhelming majority of his life he just lived on his own, ate very little, drank very little, slept very little, studied a lot, and here and there when something had to happen he would do it. He did it in a bombastic way, but the question gets a little bit more complicated in that maybe he couldn't do these things if he were more regularly present in the rest of society. And so if you were exposed to the same things that we're exposed to on a daily basis, maybe it wouldn't have been so easy. So it could be that the source of his strength was his being distant and different from people. This is why the Gemara says the reference to him having a lot of hair, having long hair, is that if he's a Nazir, of course, he's not drinking with people, he's not coming into contact with contaminated or impure people, lives pretty much alone, capable of some very phenomenal, extraordinary things, but he lives his life on his own, just the way he was. So not for nothing that we're told that people have to describe him. Hardly a few people who are still alive would see him, maybe from Har Carmel, and I don't know. Apparently he doesn't make very many public appearances. But the same zeal that he has about Avodah Zarah, about the kings being evil and doing the wrong thing, you'll find that he's zealous about, how should I put this? He's zealous not about his own honor or his own respect. He's very zealous about his mission. So if someone disrespects him or disrespects his position as a prophet, it's not that far from basically ignoring what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. So when they come after him, Ahaziah's soldiers, so it doesn't sound like he was threatening them. It doesn't sound like, meaning that they were threatening him. It doesn't sound like Ahaziah was threatening him. They just told him, come down from the mountain, like, come see the king. And Eliyahu's response to this is, I don't do that. That's like, if he wants me, he can come see me. I'm not going out there to meet with him. I'm not giving any legitimacy to him or to his empire, to his palace. No, I want none of it. So he's on a mountaintop, and that's where he is. You saw the last time we got Nevuah, after the whole story with Har Carmel, he goes to a mountaintop, and Moshe tells him, go, Nevuah will be waiting for you on the top of some cliff. So he goes to the edge of a cliff. He doesn't go to a bar, he doesn't go to a restaurant, he doesn't go to, Times Square. It's just his very, very special, very unique interactions that he has with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and so his interactions with the people are very, very unique too. It is what it is. I don't know. Maybe as phenomenal as he was, maybe the nation wasn't really ready for a prophet like this, or maybe I don't know how many generations were capable of dealing with a prophet of this stature, and so maybe it's almost for our own good that we don't have one. I don't know, how else to put it. But people blowing up in flames like that, I don't know, people would be able to digest that. Move on. So Elisha uses some of the same discretion that Eliyahu uses. In other words, in the case of Ahaziah, this is the king of 10 tribes. It was a humiliation. It was a tremendous chilul Hashem that he should be sending to the prophets of Baal Zebul. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself tells Eliyahu, go intercept them, tell them, there are prophets alive today. That's Eliyahu, that's what he's there for. So no one should tell you the generation didn't have a prophet or couldn't ask something of Hashem if they wanted to. And even though you didn't ask me, let me give you the answer you're looking for. So he comes in the name of Hashem. The first two officers and their soldiers that approach him maybe come expecting him to show reverence to the king or to, somehow submit to him, which he's in no way willing to do. So he kills them all. And the third time, the Malach tells him, look, just go deliver the message yourself. Why he didn't do it the first time, why the Malach didn't stop him from killing the first 51, the second 51, I don't know. But Elisha, not long after, and remember the expression that he uses? That he wants twice Eliyahu's spirit upon him. In other words, that spirit of zeal and maybe some of the powers that come with it is what he was hoping for. And so you see that he's zealous. Like, these kids making fun of him, can't compare it to a modern day politician or celebrity trying to defend his or her ego from some Twitter troll. It's not the same thing. But at the same time, these kids are making fun of him. The Gemara says that he saw they had bad midot, they were whatever, maybe mamzerim, but he cursed them in the name of Hashem, which is something that we're not supposed to do. He's a Navi, far be it for me to question him, but the Gemara does say he was punished for it later. So we'll leave people on spontaneous combustion for next week. Fascinating story with Elisha too. It's not like his life was boring, but we'll pick it up from here next week. Take a quick 2-minute break and then we'll continue with the Midrash.